Before we start anything, I want to express my appreciation for people who made today possible. And if it weren't for Chris McCall attending a seminar I did back in July saying, hey, we could use you as a speaker, I wouldn't be here today. So Chris, for your ability to promote and to care about the community the way you do, thank you very much. Dr. Rod Gatola, our leader, partner in crime, and really smart guy when it comes to a lot of different things holistic. Thank you for being here as part of the leadership and taking Boquete Health and Hospice to the next level. And the volunteer staff, we've just met some new staff members coming on board. We're grateful to Kat for the work she does in corralling the cats and keeping everyone on task to do what we do for the community. I also just learned that today that John and Barbara Earl were the ones who concepted this organization. And so my thanks to them for the vision they had to make today possible. I'd also like to thank my husband, David Zacharias. He's the guy who does all of my technical stuff, PowerPoints, slides, way above my pay grade. So if you enjoyed this presentation, you want to thank him. And you for being here to listen. Let's face it, it's a non-rainy, lovely day in the highlands of Panama, and you could be doing a lot of other things, but you chose to come here to learn some new information, and I'm grateful you chose to do so. Just a note that the information that we're going to be discussing is for educational purposes only, not intended to treat or cure disease. If you have any questions, consult your personal physician for medical advice. The thoughts expressed, referrals and recommendations that I make are mine and mine alone. So let's define our terms. We're talking about overwhelm. What is overwhelm? According to Merriam-Webster, it's the power of in thought or feeling when a situation just feels like it's too much or almost too much for one to manage. I don't know, I've experienced overwhelm once or twice in my 66 years, and I imagine you have too. So we're going to look more closely at why that comes up and then what we can do about it. The other thing we're looking at is caregiving. And so a caregiver is a person who provides direct care, whether it's children, elderly, chronically ill, or pets. I include pets in this because pets take just as much care, at times even more, than we humans. Or a member of a person's social network who just helps them with activities of daily living. So let me ask, who here has been a caregiver or is a caregiver? All right, yes, well, thank you very much. You guys are rock. Who here has actually been the recipient of good caregiving on any level? Well, there you go. So now we know what it's like to be cared for, and we go, okay, if someone needs it, I'm going to help them too. Yes, and it is also about what you do in the interim when you're providing the care, the thoughts you have, the actions you take to make that the best care possible. My training is in chiropractic. I graduated New York Chiropractic College way back in the day. And one of the tenets in chiropractic is that there's an innate intelligence that informs and helps us in every second of our life. So let's talk really quickly about how this works. There was an egg, there was a sperm, two cells got together. They did a genetic milkshake, and then they divide. In 9 months, plus or minus, you showed up. And in that situation, all the heart cells went to the heart, and the lung cells went to the lung, and there was nobody inside giving directions. That innate intelligence, that inner wisdom that helps you from the moment you conceive and hit the earth plane running until your final breath is what keeps you going along the way. It uses the nervous system, the brain, spinal cord, nerve network, as its method of expression. And when that communication is ongoing, uninterrupted, not interfered with, there's usually no issues. It's when there's disruptions in the network that can cause dis-ease, stress, and that can contribute to our overwhelm. Why am I qualified to talk about caregiving? Back when I was 48 years old, I was having these weird symptoms. I was 5 years into menopause, and yet I felt like I was going to have my monthly cycle like any day. And I went to see my practitioner, my medical practitioner. She said, I'm suspecting an estrogen surge. So they did an ultrasound. Sure enough, my left ovary, which was supposed to be the size of a walnut, was the size of my fist. It was a granulosa cell tumor of low malignancy potential, but it had to come out. So I went through the surgery. For 3 months later, I received the best care ever from my husband, from my mother, because this was not one of those laparoscopic, make the little slit and pull stuff out. This was cut, this was stitch it up, and this was then allowing the body to heal. And it took time. And one of the things we don't often remember, or keep at the front of our memory, is that these things take time. In chiropractic, we have 33 principles. Principle number 6 is time, because it can take a while for a situation to be created, and then it can take time for that to be healed. So I received good quality care. I know how honored I was to have somebody else doing things for me that I couldn't do for myself. And I vowed that I would help others in that same way. I provided care for my grandmother when she was going through chemo with her second surgery for colon cancer. And it was hard. I was the one in the family who kind of knew how to read a blood test and could ask the doctors the intelligent questions. But for the most part, it was just going through that process with her and trying to keep her hopes up and let her know that she was doing the best she could, and her innate wisdom was working on her behalf each and every day until she did end up passing. I was the single mother of 2 young sons. They were 3 and 6 at the time at my divorce. And while I did have some good caregiving for them, it was pretty much me to make things happen for them, to arrange the caregiving, to finance the caregiving, and to make sure that they were going to be okay. I acted as a long-distance caregiver for my mother when she was suffering from lumbar stenosis. And is there anyone here who's working with loved ones who are afar, but they still have issues that are needing to be addressed? Yeah, my mother, had lumbar stenosis, which narrows down the opening of the spinal cord, the area of the spinal cord, and the nerves going into her legs were being impinged. Now, I tried to explain to her that the leg pain she was feeling was not coming from her legs. It was coming from the L3, L1 to L5 region. But my back feels fine. It was hard to get that across to her, being so far away. So in terms of that, my personal experience, and in terms of dealing with clients who often come to me on their last rope, their last thread, when someone comes to me and they're in that overwhelmed place, the first thing I hear is, it's all on me. And yeah, it does feel like it's all on you. Now, I work with these people who are in this caregiving role, and they are just doing it day in and day out, 24/7. And you can just do that so long before you realize you need some help, or you need a day off, or you need just ability to take a breath. And when overwhelm gets to that point in their life, it's just not a pretty picture. And I bet there's some of you here who can relate. So what do we do? I want you to meet my son, Dominic. Dominic is 28 years old. He is a firefighter for San Diego Fire Rescue. And I'm just so proud of the work this kid did. From 4 years old, he wanted to be a firefighter. He went at it hard and fast. He applied. He did all kinds of training and finally got the nod June 27th, 2019. One of my most proud moments, aside from when I birthed him at home in the bed where he was conceived, by choice, when I pinned on his badge and made him an official firefighter 1 for San Diego Fire Rescue. He also is an instructor, so the pictures you see of him with the thumbs up, that's him being an instructor, helping other people go into burning containers and figuring out how to put out fires. And then in the other image, you'll see him all suited up because he's fighting a fire. I think it was at Hollywood and Vine or someplace in the California area. But I want you to notice the people in the house on the roof behind him. Because see, when the tones go off, when the chief of the fire department realizes there's a fire, we got some issues, he doesn't get into his gear and he doesn't get into the truck. He doesn't go there and whip out the hoses and get the axes. No, he sends Dominic and the other firefighters on shift at Station 50. He has help and he lets them know what they have to do, and these people are so well trained, they just go into it. Not a question asked. I want you to meet my son, Michael. Michael is now 31 years old. He's living in Brisbane, Australia, and he's an audio engineer. So he does sound for TV commercials, feature films, and the like. Now, when the director is ready to mark a scene, He doesn't sit there and go, okay, where's the camera? Where's the clapboard? Where's my audio? No, he calls his crew. And he says, okay, Michael, with the boom mic, stand over there. Yo, and so-and-so with the camera, stand here. And I'm going to say action. And everything's going to happen exactly the way I asked, or we're going to have to do it again. When I was practicing in Connecticut, I was the corporate chiropractor for Priceline.com at their international headquarters, which was in Norwalk, Connecticut at the time. And the CEO would come in and sit on the table and tell me the latest and greatest stuff he was trying to get done with the company. It was a startup then, so there's a lot of chaos in the system. But he didn't do it all himself. He had his senior management. He had administrative assistants that pulled it all together and made it work. And so I'm going to ask you, caregivers in the group, to start reframing your role as a caregiver. You want to become the chief, you want to become the director, you want to become the CEO of your life. You don't have to do it alone, not totally all alone. And you want to develop a resource list to delegate the tasks as necessary. But what's a resource list? These are your emergency contacts. These are people you need to be able to contact, boom, at a moment's notice, or direct someone else to if you're unable to do so. One of the first people, when people move here, new to the area, I say, get on board with Rodney Direct. I know Rodney did a speech earlier, a couple months ago. This man is brilliant. He is the most helpful person I know. I've been with his organization for a number of years, have never had to call him, and I hope I never do. But I'm so glad he's there. He is bilingual. He will be able to tap into whatever you need. You need an ambulance, you need the police, you need a fire truck to come to you and help you out. It's worth every penny to be on board with this and know it's one less thing that you have to worry about. Boquete Health and Hospice. This group is just an amazing group for me because everyone comes together on a volunteer basis. And whether it's working on the cardiopulmonary resuscitation classes, whether it's attending the and be ready for the end of life classes, there's so much here. And these people are giving of their time and their energy for free. So take advantage of what they have. Whether you or not you can actually donate your time, consider opening your pocketbook and donating to their events and their causes because it helps them help one more person. And if we help one more person in this community, it's really and truly worth it. You want to have your personal physicians and specialists on a list. Now, I know a lot of people like their cell phone and they do all this thing with their cell phone. Well, listen, I'm old-fashioned. Put it in a hard copy. Stick it in a drawer where if somebody needs to come help you, they can access it and they can make phone calls for you. I think it's always helpful to have a bestie or two, a helper, a friend, someone you know you can count on. That if you need something, they'll be there for you. I had a friend, her husband fell. Wasn't a pretty sight, but they had to get him to the hospital and they needed someone to help lift. And she didn't know who to call. She calls me. I'm like, I don't think I can do that. So you want to have people at the ready who you believe will be there for you and have one or two or three or four because you want to make sure that you're covered. You also need to consider transportation. You don't have access to a car, you want to know someone who does, or you want to have a good, reliable taxi on hand because if you need to get somewhere quickly, dialing around and waiting for someone to show up may not be the best way to go. I have a friend, and she came to see me, and she was like, oh, I just had a cupcake moment. It wasn't pretty. And I'm thinking, a cupcake moment? What the heck's that? She described it to me. She was living in Florida at the time. She was working as an administrative assistant for a large corporation. Somebody in the office was having a birthday. She made a bunch of cupcakes, put them in a box, running out the door the morning of the birthday party. She had her computer bag over one side. She had her pocketbook over the other side. She had the cupcakes in the middle. And she's running out. She's on the phone with her boyfriend having an argument. Gets to the car, puts the cupcakes on top of the car, opens up the car, puts in her stuff. Oh, forgot my lunch. Dashes back into the house, gets her lunch, back to the car, buttons the seatbelt on, key in the ignition, backs out of the driveway, heading for the interstate until she heard a noise. Yep, you got it. The cupcakes were still on top of the car. They slid off, boom, into the road. She was rushed. She wasn't thinking. She didn't take time to stop and make sure she was all pulled together. Big, big learning. When you are feeling that overwhelm, like, you want to stop. You want to slow down to a complete stop, reassess your situation. You want to avoid cupcake moments at all costs, because this was no big deal. She went to, whatever the local food store was and bought some cupcakes. I had a cupcake moment a couple weeks ago while planning for this talk. I had a whole blue bucket of recycling, half of it glass. I had my flip-flops on. I was walking to the house, up the terrazzo. I'm talking to my husband. The next thing I know, I am on the floor kissing the tiles. Yeah. And I impacted, took the breath out of me, and I said, okay, I'm doing too much too fast. I need to slow down and avoid something worse. I mean, thank God nothing broke, but it could have been a lot worse. So please, don't let cupcake moments happen to you. And when you're feeling like, what am I going to do? There's a couple things in that moment that you can do. One of them is what I call instant calm. It's from a methodology called brain gym or educational kinesiology. And this is the work of Brian Dennison. So those of you who want to participate, I invite you to follow me. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Cross it over, link it up, pull it through, cross one ankle over the other, tongue to the roof of your mouth, close your eyes and breathe. Whenever you cross the midline of the body, it integrates right and left brain hemisphere, brings about a sense of calm. So let's drill that again. Thumbs up, thumbs down, cross it over, link it up, pull it through, ankles, tongue, close your eyes and breathe. I had a client who was stuck in traffic on the Pan American Highway in David. Front, back, side, side. She was going nowhere. And she had to be at a doctor appointment. No, she had to pick up her kids. That's what, pick up her kids at the bus stop. And she went, what Dr. Sonia tell me to do? Oh yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down. And she sat in her car, being more calm than if she was sitting there frantically trying to figure out, how am I going to get my kids at the bus stop? I can't even go 2 inches in front of me. It's really helpful to have things like that at the ready so you can instantly get yourself to a better place. That's why you want to have a resource list. You want to reach for it when you get to those places. Because a lot of us caregivers think we got to do it ourselves and we're going to be the superhero and it's all on us. But in reality, please ask for help when you need it. I have found this community to be unbelievably just generous of time and information. And I've asked people to help me in times that I think, oh, no, I'll throw it out there, see if I can find anyone. And people are like, oh, yeah, I could do that. Remember, there's help there. God gave us 2 hands, one to go, the other to go. And there's always someone there who's going to grab your hand and help you out. Another effective stress relief from nature that I rely on are the products from Cloud Forest Botanicals. These are organic botanical extracts with CBD, medicinal mushrooms, and they help the body deal with the impact of emotional, mental, and physical stress. I know in a couple months we're going to be having a meeting and there'll be a panel discussion. Dr. Rod is our go-to resident expert on this matter, and he's going to fill us in on why they can be so important. They even have formulas for pets. I was at a gathering on the night when it was really rainy, and this poor little dog was like, and I'm not a big pet person, I don't have one, but I couldn't imagine this dog shaking any faster. Was given a dose of big pet love because of the big dog. And within 10 minutes, he was like, eh. So I find them very helpful. My favorite is Chill Out, which is an ashwagandha CBD formulation, ashwagandha being an adaptogenic herb, which will help upregulate the body if it needs to, or downregulate the body as necessary. David's favorite is Super Immune Boost. It's for immune system support. And Shroom Boom with the medicinal mushrooms and the CBD is a nice all-encompassing formula. Homeopathy is something that I also find can help when I'm getting to that place of overwhelm. Homeopathy are natural substances that can, by the law of similars, that which will create illness in a person, that same substance in a dilute form can actually help relieve symptoms in a sick person. I find that Arnica montana, which is from an herb, is really helpful for inflammation. So Dan, you were there on Monday, right? Yep, when I was going for that pickleball return, and my foot stuck on the court, but my body, my upper body continued the journey. And I met the pavement, the court, with my shoulder, with my hip. Oh my gosh, took the wind out of me. I'm sitting there going, please, two things. Nothing broken, not my glasses, not my body. And as it turned out, I was fine, okay, once again. Glasses were fine. And I knew I was going to be black and blue when I got home because you don't hit the floor that hard and not have some repercussion. When I got home, I took some of the Pure Relief Ice from Cloud Forest Botanicals. It's a formulation that also has arnica in it. I rubbed it on my shoulder. I took some arnica internally. That was 2 days ago. You can see there's black and blue on my shoulder, but most of it's already healing because my body's taken in something that now can support it in doing so. The other homeopathic remedy I find useful is Ignatia amara. Ignatia is from the seed of the St. Ignatius tree. It's usually used for anxiety, recommended for anxiety and grief. And for a lot of us, we think grief, sadness at a loss. And it's when someone passes or a pet passes. But it could be any kind of a loss. It could be financial loss, relationship loss, loss of a home country when you move to someplace new. And again, it's been a sort of a more immediate, help people get more balance so that they can deal with the tasks at hand, whatever they may be. The most important patient in your life who you will ever caregive is you. And so when I think about self-care, what we can each do for ourselves, that's where it's at. You care for yourself. It keeps you focused, it keeps you healthy, and it keeps you able to be there for other people. In those airline safety briefings, who's here traveled recently? Who here has traveled on an airplane recently? They go through those safety briefings. Put your own mask on before you help someone else. Well, that's what we're doing. With self-care, we are putting our own mask on and keeping ourselves strong so we can be there for other people. And let's look at some productive self-care options because there's lots of them. Yoga, one of my favorites. You can take a class for an hour and it can put you into a Zen state. It helps stretch your muscles and it puts you around other people who are of a like mind. Now, I know when you're in a caregiving role, sometimes you think, I don't have time to go to yoga. Well, I might say you don't have time not to. I'm not saying go every single week and twice on Saturday. I'm saying consider taking some time for yourself to have an experience that puts you in more of a mellow place. Along the same lines is meditation. And for some people, it's like, well, I got to go to the top of Alto Jaramillo and find a rock and chant Om for 3 hours. No. Sometimes you just have to sit quietly and close your eyes and just do nothing. I used to call it daydreaming. Just do nothing and let the mind just chill because it's probably working overtime as it is. Massage. Okay, who here has had a massage in the last 2 weeks? Good, okay. And who here's got an appointment for the next 2 weeks with their massage therapist? All right, the rest of you, good, thank you. The rest of you are overdue because massage, it's not only like, oh, I'm going to be pampered with the little fluffy robe and the slippers. No, it's a way to take some time, yes, but it's also working on the body, moving things around, releasing toxins, having a more relaxed experience. Make sure you drink lots of water afterwards so those toxins get flushed out of the system. But it's very important, and we have some wonderful massage therapists in this area at the various wellness resorts, locations in town. If you want a referral for someone, there's people who come to your house and actually work with you there. So again, it's not something you have to do every week, but if you put something on the calendar and look forward to it and know you're going to get a benefit from it, that could be a really good thing. Forest bathing. Shinrin yoku. The Japanese, they go into forests. They just bathe in the energy, the smells, the vision. We have forests here, but maybe it's more like jungle bathing here. But we live in such a great place, which has got such beautiful, the naturaleza is amazing. Every now and then, rather than just getting in the car and driving past it, you might want to stop and smell the earth and listen to the sounds and be grateful that we have what we have here in Boquete. Hydration, as in water. I have people that go, oh, but I drink this and this and that and that. I go, well, yeah, that's liquid. That's not necessarily water. And it's not hydrating you at the level that's important for your body to function optimally. Social interaction with others. And this is something that we probably all don't take enough time to do. But there are groups in this town that can do it. They're doing almost everything that you'd ever want to do. You want to learn about photography? There's a photography group. You want to learn how to knit? We got knitting and quilting. You want to whatever it is. And you know something? If there's not a group doing it already, you want to start a group? I bet you'll have a bunch of people showing up to join you. Because being around other people, especially of like mind, can really help get you to a different place. So understanding what are the realities in life. You know, Erin, you and I have done theater way back in the day. And that was always such a wonderful time to go. I mean, the rehearsals got a little long in the tooth after a while. I know Dave remembers it too. But yeah, being around people, working hard to put on a production for others' entertainment, there's just nothing like it. So it doesn't have to be every night, once a week. You can do it in little dribs and drabs, but put yourself in the company of others really cool people. Cellular detoxification. Now, this is a really simple one, and I know you guys can all handle it. It's from the work of Dr. Viktor Frankl. It's called total body modification. And what it allows you to do is a simple maneuver that will help your cells, each cell in the body, reduce the toxins, release the toxins, so that when you put in all the good stuff, like all the water you're going to be drinking now, it'll have something that it can do with it. So this is how it works. Hands on the hips, iliac crest, so your hands on your hips. Where your thumbs meet in the back, you want to go down an inch. You want to make a fist, and you want to tap, tap the lower back. Tap, tap the lower back. I've given out so many of these prescriptions, little Post-it notes. Tap, tap the lower back. It's the L5 area of your spine. It's that point which will help in resetting the system. There's a simple muscle test I can do for people to find out if they really have toxic cells, but for the most part, it's not going to hurt you. Tap, tap the lower back. Hands on the hips, thumbs to the back, go down an inch. L5, tap, tap the lower back. I've got clients, I tease them, say, make you a prescription, Post-it note, tap, tap the lower back. I go visit them at their house. They've got it up on their bathroom mirror. And whatever it takes to remind them, I'm all for it. Mitochondrial support. This is a big one, and I've been reading so much about it lately. Dr. Peter Attia, in his new book, Outlive, about longevity. You keep your mitochondria happy, you keep them functioning optimally, you are going to be in a way better place than if you ignore them. So, what are mitochondria? That's that little bitty piece of the cell. It's an organelle that produces cellular energy. Seriously, you want to be very nice to them, because without them functioning and doing what they do, you'd be out of here in seconds. So what are some things that support mitochondrial health? We're talking simple stuff. Sunlight and vitamin D. And where do we get our vitamin D? From the sun. And what do we have a lot here when it's not raining? We have sun. So the infrared from the sun is going to help increase mitochondrial function. Now, yes, you can go to an infrared sauna. We have a couple of those here in town. But yes, you can also just go out in the sun. How many here have pets? Dogs, cats, okay. You don't walk a cat, but you walk a dog, right? Get your dog on the leash and let's go. Wear a little short sleeve shirt so that you get some more sun on your body. Overall increase in ATP, that's the adenosine triphosphate, the cellular energy from the mitochondria. It's going to give more of that to your body, and that's only going to make you feel better. Ooh, here we go. This is my garden. I wanted to share this with you. This is my dedication garden. It's dedicated to first responders. You met Dominic earlier, the firefighter from San Diego Fire Rescue. Now, this garden was designed so that all of the pink and purple flowers, white flowers you see, that represents the innocent people of the community. The red, the yellow, the orange flowers represent the fire, the danger, that which firefighters and police will protect them from. And then the blue or the purple represent the firefighters, police, first responders who are running into danger when everyone else is running back. There's a sculpture in the middle you can see. It is the Maltese cross, which is the symbol of the fire service, as a flower, and then a hummingbird, right, going into the center. Now, the hummingbird for me is an amazing little critter because for its size and its weight, the hummingbird should not be able to do what it does. Hummingbirds can fly forward, they can fly back, they can fly up, they can fly down, they can hover. That's the impossible. Well, for me, first responders do the impossible because you wouldn't see me running into a burning building. But I also think it's a symbol of the caregivers who are there doing the impossible above and beyond the call of duty at times, and they just keep doing it because it's their calling and because they care. That garden looks good because it's the rainy season. It's getting a lot of water. And it's got some great sun. What did we just talk about? Sun and how important that is. Oh, check this out. This is my Christmas cactus. My mother used to grow these when I was little. She had a real green thumb. They always bloomed around Christmas, like December. This bloomed in July and August, so it must be off a bit. Christmas in July. But anyway, this is the plant. It sits in my terrazza. I throw water on it when I remember. And this is how it looks. Another feat of nature. Well, I can guarantee one thing. No one in this room is a cactus. You don't get to just get a little sip of water every now and again and bloom like this. Hydration. I could do a whole presentation on hydration and how important proper hydration is and how it improves mitochondrial function. Dr. Barry Sears, your cells need adequate hydration to optimize the production of energy from food. We eat food, the glucose, the fat, we take in molecules. It goes running through the mitochondria and then boom, out pops 36 or 38 molecules of ATP from glucose. If you don't have adequate hydration in the cells, your ability to produce energy, such as ATP, is reduced. And guess what? You're going to feel fatigued. What's the solution? Drink more water. Now, the rule of thumb, I mean, there's a lot of different people having a lot of different rules of thumb. The rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces. I have some clients who are like, well, I can't do that. I'm traveling a lot, and I don't want to be peeing every, half an hour. Well, okay. Maybe you just want to take little sips. Get the water into your system. Some people say, well, I don't like the taste of water. Okay, you can get some concentrated minerals, put a few drops of concentrated minerals. Sometimes you don't like the taste of water because they've taken out all the good stuff in it, and it just kind of tastes flat. So put some concentrated minerals in it, shake it up, see if that improves the palatability for you. Or you can take some lemon juice, squeeze a little lemon in, put some drops of stevia, make like a little lemonade. I can tell you, though, that if you're a fan of coffee, I drink it from time to time, that's a more acidic beverage. So if you're going to be drinking coffee, please consider taking in more water because it'll help balance out the system in a much better way. Exercise. Guess what? Exercise is going to help you make more mitochondria. The thing you want to remember is with mitochondria inside the cell, if the system is put to the task of having to do more than the cell, the innate intelligence of the body goes, oh yeah, we better make more mitochondria so we can make more energy so we can keep them going. It's called the hormetic response. So ideally, you want to have the mitochondria that are in there, you want to have them working optimally. You want to help the body make more mitochondria, and then you want to help the ones that are a little, not doing so great. You want to help them recycle out so they're not just taking up the works and not giving you the full amount of energy that you can have. So all you have to do is move. Now, you can do things like high intensity interval training. That's where you can like run really fast and stop and then walk back. And then run really fast and then walk back. You can go to the gym, you can lift weights. I've got this couple, they're in their 70s. Each of them work out 2 hours a day for 3 days a week. They're amazing. They're like building all this muscle. You think, well, they're in their 70s. No. Exercise, according to Atia, the #1 longevity drug. And it's free. Because all you got to do, walk around the block. Fire up your computer. Look for silver sneakers. It's a great little video exercises that you can do at home. So if you are caregiving for someone, you got a little kid, you can't really get out of the house, do your little yoga things, your yoga things, or your silver sneakers things with the ankles. And I mean, there's just so many things you can do. It doesn't have to take 2 hours, 3 days a week like my clients. You can do whatever you can, where you are. You know, people say to me, well, when's the best time to start an anti-aging program? I say now, like right now. Put it into your life, poco a poco, a little bit at a time. Who all remembers the Krebs cycle from high school biology? Oxidative phosphorylation, citric acid cycle. Yeah, I don't remember much of myself. But when you look, this is the process. For those of you who do remember it, this is the process by which we pop in 1 molecule of glucose, out comes 38, 36 ATP. And you have to have all these things kind of operating together or you don't get that happening. You'll notice NAD and NADH as part of that cycle. Well, there are really smart people in the world who are formulating nutritional support for the mitochondria. And one of them is NADH, that's reduced nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. That's why we call it NADH. It's the metabolically active form of vitamin B3, which is known as niacin. And this is what you need to make your ATP. Now, there's a really amazing woman. Her name is Nicola Conlon. Look her up online. She's got great videos. She was a biomedical researcher working for a pharmaceutical company in the UK. And she was doing all her work, and she's like 34 years old. She's like a kid. She was doing all this work, but she was really getting frustrated because it takes so long in order to do the research, get the results, put it into process, do the phase testing, do phase 2 testing, do phase 3 testing. She's like, you know, by the time this helps anybody, I'm going to be dead. So she decided to do her own research company in nutraceuticals, and she's put together a product called Nuchido. It's time in a bottle. I have not tried that one yet. I can tell you that I have tried the Now Brands version of NADH. I've been using it for about a year. I find that for me, it provides a very sustained energy throughout the day. It's not like you're getting a jolt like coffee or some of those monster energy drinks. And it has some similar formulations to what Nicola Conlon's product does. I bought a whole bunch of this a year ago, so I'm at the end of it now. I am going to be trying her product, Nuchido, and I can report back to you when I do that and let you know what I discovered. Omega-3 fatty acids, unless you are really into sardines and eating salmon, that's going to be helpful for the fatty acids that will help the bilipid membrane of the cell and the mitochondria. Also, alpha-lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine, very good nutritional support for your mitochondria. And then, you know, we could eat for mitochondrial function. And this is probably one of the easiest things we could do because we do it every day. It's just about the choices that we're making. So you want to eat high quality protein because you want to build muscle. Because when you build muscle, you have more mitochondria in that part of the body that can work to make energy. You want to look for your antioxidant-rich fruits and vegetables. Think deeply pigmented so that you can get more of the antioxidant support, which is going to help your body deal with reactive oxygen species, which is that part of the cycle of metabolism that takes electrons away from where they need to be in the body, and then the body has to spend more energy trying to repair itself. There's also a concept called time-restricted eating. Some people know it as intermittent fasting. And that's just where you make your body, you eat between like a 6 to 10 hour window, such that the body doesn't have a whole lot of time to keep having to eat and digest and eat and digest and eat and digest. It's that hormetic response again. If your body doesn't have something coming in every 3 or 4 hours, then you're going to find that it works better with what it has to make the energy that it needs. And you want to become a choo-choo train. How many people, because we're so busy and things are happening so fast, we go choo-choo, go. Choo-choo, go. When you chew your food really, really well, you're increasing the particles, you're a lot of particles of the food. And that allows in your mouth the salivary amylase, the carbohydrate digestion, to take place there, so it doesn't have to do as much work when it gets to your stomach down here. So just remember, if you're going to be eating, and when I do demos with actual food, I'll give you it'll become water. You'll be like, what am I doing here? But it's just to remind you, chew your food better. Chew before you swallow. It's really highly recommended. And that way, it'll help your body overall function much better. You can also sleep for mitochondrial function. Wow, what a concept. Because one of the functions of sleep is to detoxify all the goop in the brain. And if you're not getting sufficient sleep, yeah, then you're not allowing your body to do that process, and that's going to make you less optimal. When you have acute and chronic stressors, that's also going to influence metabolic functioning, mitochondrial functioning. And it's that chronic stress that can come from sleep deprivation that can lead to the molecular changes that are going to make your mitochondria not work so well. One of my friends was in a situation where her husband was recuperating from surgery, and there were needs to use the toilet frequently, all hours of the day and night. So while she's trying to get a good night's sleep, he's like, nudge, nudge, can you help make sure I'm gonna not fall over when I'm getting to the toilet? So it was tough for her, and we had to find someone who could come in, act as a sitter, so she could just get some sleep on a consistent basis and recharge that battery. And my friend Tony Robbins has said, people don't remember days, they remember moments. And let's face it, when you're in a caregiving role, sometimes you may not have, some days you may not have very many good moments. And people get what you're about. I know, when David's mom used to say, David William, she was just saying his name, but he could tell by the sound of the voice, the tone of the voice, that she was not happy with him. Little kids, they don't understand your words, but they'll understand the energy with which you speak. So if you're not having a moment that's the most optimal moment, please be mindful of how your attitude and the energy of that can impact someone else's moment. People we're caring for, they're not doing it on purpose to piss you off. No matter what stage they are in, whether it's just an aging situation, whether it's a memory care situation, whether it's recuperating from a surgery situation, they want to get it done too. They want to be part and parcel of the world that they knew before their incident happened. And in some cases, there may be no going back. I've got some people dealing with memory care issues. They may not get the resolution, and they may not get their loved one back the way they used to be. That just may be the what's so of the situation. And there are times when I've had to sit people down and say, you know, this is probably as good as it's going to get. So please plan your own life, because you can give over so much of yourself in a caregiving role that even as the patient is getting better and stronger and able to do more for themselves, you still just keep doing it and doing it and doing it because you're so used to it. So at that point, if someone's on the mend and they're making it happen on their own, even if it's poco progress, give them a lot of positive vibes, attaboy, attagirl, because it's their innate intelligence that's on the run. It's making them make their best effort to get better and to be more purposeful in life. And Atia talks about how we want to look at health span. We want to keep ourselves as healthy as we can be so that we just kind of cruise along, and then when our time comes, boom, we're out of here. Because I'm going to ask you all right now to get in touch with your G-spot. I see those smiles. Gratitude for the time that you have with your loved one. Yeah, right in that moment of doing whatever the thing you gotta be doing. I just one neighbor, the partner fell down, broke the wrist in a cast. The right hand, the person was right-handed. I have to do everything for him, with the emphasis on the every. You can imagine. Yeah, that may not be the most fun thing you get to do for the time that body's healing, but guess what? It is going to get better, and be grateful for that. You also want to have a recollection of the memories that you've shared together. Or you might share in the future. I mean, you don't know how much longer we have, because to date, I have not seen a birth certificate with an expiration date on it. We don't know when our time is up, and we want to make the most of it while we're here. I leave you with the 3 A's, very important to remember: appreciation, acknowledgement, and approval. And as often as you can offer this to someone else without violating your own integrity rules, I invite you to do it. Because, the world can be a really sad, yucky place for some people. And sometimes a little smile, a kind word. I walk past gardeners working. I don't even know these people. I say, then we be in. Oh, it's good. Nobody else even thinks about them, let alone talks to them. You'd be surprised how a kind word can change someone's day. In summary, I'm going to invite you to become the chief, the director, or the CEO of your life. Develop your resource list and ask for help when you need it. I want you to do the simple things today that can make for a better tomorrow, both for you and your caregiving loved one. Self-care is not optional. If you want to have effective caregiving, you've got to put your own mask on and take care of yourself first. And I invite you to be grateful for experience, because there's no greater gift you can give to someone than your heart and your soul and your intention that they get better. And attention is what I've been grateful for the last 45 minutes. Thank you so much for yours.